dope. I kind of want that background. That's nostalgic. It's kind of like having the Mario Brothers jumping around on something.
Right?
I can dig that.
Amazing.
It sucks that that's nostalgic though. Like,
Don't
mean,
say
yeah,
that.
right.
Yeah, it is nostalgic. I
Like
haven't watched that
classic
movie
vehicles.
either. I'm going to watch it.
Neither have I.
I
Which
kind of
one?
have to.
What movie?
The Super Mario Brothers
The
movie.
Mario
yeah.
Brothers.
Oh, there's a Mario Brothers movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be pretty good. But
It's probably racist against Italians.
I bet it is. Made by Japanese people, so.
Happy Friday, y'all.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Tragedy Academy, a show created to bridge societal divides in a judgment-free zone using candor and humor. We are joined today by Emma G. We got Gary here complaining about Italian racism in the Super Mario Brothers. Emma, how you doing today?
I'm amazing. Happy Friday, y'all.
Happy Friday indeed.
How are you guys doing?
Living the dream. Gary, how you doing besides feeling accosted by the Mario Brothers movie?
We don't all have mustaches and love pizza. Okay, that's
you are a
stereotyping.
person sitting in front of us with a mustache that loves pizza and is Italian.
Maybe.
And may or may not have been talking to you about something mafia related more than only 5 minutes ago.
7 minutes at least. And
that's a true story, by the way.
yeah. I just remember some Italian people I know, and there's controversy and stereotyping and everything, and they always throw in the Mario Brothers or something. I'm like, yeah, calm down. That's
if it's
not
any consolation, Gary, I get the same thing. People talk to me about New Zealand, where I'm from, and it's always about Lord of the Rings. And I'm like, listen, not all of us made it as the cast as a hobbit, okay? I might be fun sized, but I'm not that short, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah, but they have great work with cameras. They can make you tall and short. Because those hobbits had those giant feet, though. You don't want those feet. Those feet are not attractive.
I don't have those feet.
Yeah.
And they're hairy.
I've been called a hobbit before.
Oh, that's not cool.
Ooh, okay. This is getting really awkward really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 5'4" with my shoes on, so I'm hobbit-ish.
We're fun size, Gary. We're fun size. Yeah. That's all that is.
I fly a lot. I need the leg room.
Dude, I'm jealous. Absolutely jealous. Well, Emma uses the magic of music to empower, uplift, and motivate audiences worldwide. Her music and story are helping audiences overcome struggles, trauma, stress, to step up into their own authentic power. I'll tell you, I looked through your literature, listened to your music, wanted to get acquainted with your story and where you come from. And I can't tell you how much this resonates with me. And the fact that you were able to discover it at such an early age is phenomenal. To be able to unleash authenticity and get rid of trauma through those releases is something that every kid dreams of being able to do. They generally do it through fantasy on a stage or in an environment. They want to profess how they've been done, whether it's good or bad. And to be able to give them the tools in the toolbox to be able to write it out and be able to sing it out and do it with pride and about what they believe in and what they've been through, their trials, their tribulations, their celebrations. This is an amazing story. And I genuinely appreciate you for being the person that you are and for coming on our show. Now I'm done. You can tell us all about who you are, where you're from.
Gosh, wow, thank you. I'm humbled by that. It's funny because it's easy, I guess, to work in your superpower or in your zone of genius, whatever term you want to call it, and kind of, it's my life. This is what I do. It's just wow, you shower every day. That's incredible. It's just my life. And you're right. I am very blessed.
The lighthouse never expects praise.
Right. Right. I mean, listen, I'm never ever going to refer to myself as a lighthouse, but for me, I knew at a very young age that I was here for a purpose. I think that everybody's here for a purpose. However, always found that music was the thing that resonated most with my purpose. And so to be able to not only share my own funk, if you will, through funk,
By the way, one of my favorite types of music. I love gritty, grimy, junky sounds that come from the soul, that use, instruments that are not conventional, things that draw on other perceptions.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's part of like the magic of music, is that it's so varied, and there's so much opportunity to play and have fun. And I tell my clients all the time, it's music is kind of like a security blanket. You've got this opportunity to both feel safe and in expressing yourself, whilst also using that creativity, that funk, that weirdness to fully step into almost another character, but whilst telling your own story and working through and understanding yourself better.
I always try to use metaphors. And in this particular case, number one, somebody's doing dishes, and that's hysterical. I just heard.
That's my fiance cleaning up after breakfast.
That's amazing, dude. It's the Tragedy Academy. It threw me completely off. And it's 11:11. I don't even know what that means. What is that?
It means Jay's going to be making some music out of dishes clanging together soon.
Man, is that my next assignment?
Do a little game
where
we do a game where, well, Gary, I'll let you explain it.
Jay likes to make music out of weird stuff. And I was shaving one day and got the idea of like the clippers is really annoying. So I'm like, all right. So I challenged him to make music out of the clipper noise. And then I had something in one of my pants pockets one day in the dryer, and it was ba-boom, ba-boom. So I was like, okay, that kind of sounded like bass. So I threw a bunch of shit in the dryer and then, made that. And then I give them these challenges to make something out of like really annoying sounds. So
that's
not that dishes is annoying. It's just a normal sound, but it's going to be hard for you to make that sound good.
Oh yeah, when he gave me the clippers, first of all, it sounded like I was trying to make music outside of an adult, store, because everything was just vibration sounds. I was like, this is stupid.
Oh, wow.
I was like, is this a note? What is this?
That's hilarious.
I was like, what do I do? So I did. I worked it out. I played it through. I'll show you later. It was fun. And to keep on topic, this does actually relate to this. Music was something that came into my life very late. I didn't start producing music until I was 42.
Which was like 3 years ago, right?
15.
Last year.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought so.
Nobody believes my age ever, but that's because I act like a big kid. No other reason. I look my age. I just don't act it.
I see you, Jay. I see you.
So as I started this show, part of the growth for me was learning about myself at the same time, because I developed this, as a show to bridge societal divides in a judgment-free zone using candor and humor. But that required me to look into the human experience and also look into myself. And as I was going through the process, I started to learn things about what it means to be authentic in your gifts and who you are. And what's stifled as a child is actually something that you can have reborn at any moment in your life if you just reconnect with it. And as I was going through making the podcast, learning editing, going through the softwares, and you initially have no confidence in yourself and what it is that you're trying to create. So you reach out. And I reached out to, local sources and online sources to have music created for the intro and outro to the show. Needless to say, there's a highlight reel that I have somewhere that would make you laugh hysterically. It didn't fit anything. It was so bad, but probably good for what they were envisioning. I don't know, but it was hot garbage. So I sat down and I opened up GarageBand. I was on my Mac and I just sat there and I started grabbing sounds and playing with it. And I was like, wait a minute. This makes sense to me. And I grew up in a Southern Baptist choir. I sang as a kid, loved music. It was my thing, but I was told to shut up. So it kind of, drew away from the ability to tap into that talent throughout my life. But it's good because it allowed me to go through other experiences to give me a lot more pain and a lot more understanding and experience when I create stuff. Long story short, I ended up falling in love with it. I have an ear. It lets me take stupid sounds and cram them places and make music out of it. Anything. I love funk. I found that out just through creating music, that is where I kind of resonate, because it's freedom. It is a music that is used to break the cycle, to be a voice. Like Curtis Mayfield. Dude, I fell in love with him probably the same year that I started doing music. You know, and it resonated so much. So when you said earlier that you create tracks once a month, you release them for the rest of this year, and they're dedicated to certain struggles, that amazes me. We released something here with the show called Tragedy Tracks. We only do certain ones when we're able to, because it's me. And let's face it, there's a lot that goes into this process to create a show and put it out. And it has to be something that, you know, I have to sacrifice some time to be able to do. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy the hell out of it. It is where I get my therapy, and I probably should do it more. But we do something very similar, and I love that that's what you do. Could you explain to us what that is and what the process is for you picking these and releasing them?
It's a multi-tiered thing. So it started in 2021, after, you know, I just established youth empowerment through songwriting coaching, where I work with teenagers to channel their voices through the art of songwriting. But then I was sitting on my couch one day, and I was like, you know what? It's fine to talk the talk, but I think, you know, it's my responsibility as a coach, as a mentor, as a leader, whatever, to lead by example. So I set myself a write a song a day challenge, where for 30 days straight, I wrote a song every single day. And the magical thing about that really came about because I found that there's a saying, to pray is to talk to God, to meditate is to listen to the messages that God gives you. I take music to be a step further, where it's a manifestation of the conversation. So for me, over those 30 days, I was like, oh gosh, I don't know where the truck that came from, but here we are, you know, writing this song about my 10-year-old self dealing with being bullied because, you know, I'd had 10 brain surgeries by that age, and my friends were calling me Frankenstein. What do you do with that? Or a song about a girl who'd been sexually assaulted. Hello, you know, all these things that I just suppressed because music is therapy. I found myself, you know, allowing myself to use that security blanket of music to let myself be vulnerable, at least to myself. And so that was my write a song a day challenge. But then that led me to looking back at some of the songs that I had written as a teenager. And that is where this releasing a song a month came from, because I'm looking at these songs going, okay, this was a very pivotal moment in my teenage years when I wrote this specific song. Oh, shoot, that happens to align with Women's History Month. Or I wrote this song. Oh, shoot, that, you know, happens to align with Depression Awareness Month or Homeless Youth Month. You know, like all of these things serendipitously have, you know, have come to coexist together. And so again, it's just me not just walking the walk as an adult, but also saying, hey, look, I was a teenager too, not that long ago, at least in my own head. And, you know, but I've been, right, thank you. Again, I look younger than I am, but yeah, I feel as if it's been a really beautiful journey and a great reminder for myself and for my audience that we've always had the answers within us. We just need to give ourselves permission to sit still and listen to ourselves. There's a saying, you are loved, you are love, and everything you could possibly need lives within you already. It's just that we get that educated out of us. And I want to help us to educate ourselves back into knowing who we are.
Yeah, we do create kind of a societal cage around our capabilities and our abilities to reach others and believe in ourselves. We're given these mirrors to look at, to be ashamed of ourselves rather than, you know, potential. For me, I do believe that music does have the ability to adjust how you feel in the moment at any given moment. And I love how beautiful it was that you said that that was an expression of putting meditation and prayer together. I couldn't agree more. Meditation is one of the cornerstones of how I work with my mental health. Has been for like 4 years.
Of course.
And we talk about it a lot on the show. I love that. I love getting snaps, man. I got to tell you, I've only had snaps like 3 or 4 times in my life, but each time I felt fucking cool. I was like, yeah, I wanted to.
You are fucking cool, Jay.
Everybody wants snaps,
You too,
dude.
Gary. Snaps for both of you.
He's got a little checklist right there. He's
I
like,
do,
got
man.
another snap.
I got a snap. Gary said reefer once to me. I was like, that's badass. I put that on there. I was like, I had a conversation with the word reefer. I was like, all right, that's cool.
I don't know if you guys got that word over there, but that means marijuana.
Okay,
It's like the
that's my main
70s,
face.
like
I was
super
like,
cool version of the word for weed. Something like
Yeah.
a 46-year-old white guy in the suburbs of Florida would never say. Like,
Unless he's the
it would just
police.
not be cool.
you do know that you're speaking to like a complete linguist obsessed person,
I
right?
love
Like
that.
one of my favorite words is absquatulate, and that means to drop everything and leave in a hurry.
I'm gonna
Nice.
There you go.
absquatulate for the rest of my life when I leave rooms now. Like, I'm not kidding, dude.
Jay uses a bunch
I
of
love
big
it. Can you
words
spell
too.
that word for people? The word of the day is.
I believe it's absquatulate. ABSQUATULATE. I believe.
Nice. Gary,
Yeah.
can you
I
pronounce
can't even
that?
spell
please?
I can't even spell restaurant. I spell it so badly that it won't even correct on my phone sometimes.
It started to just give up.
That's
It's
fine.
good.
It did. I'm like,
That's fine.
I'm just like, I'm like dyslexic or stuff, I think. Cause like, and the spell check just completely screwed people, I think, once it just starts doing it for you. If I have to write words out
Mhm.
without a spell check, I'm like, that's not even close. Like, what am I doing?
I refuse to handwrite anything because you can't hide your shame. Like,
Oh, yeah,
when you
man.
make
And
a
I have
mistake, you can't backspace
Phenomenal
anymore.
handwriting. Yeah, my handwriting,
That's
phenomenal.
funny.
My grammar, shit, completely. Spelling, terrible. So it's like, it looks really good. I sound really stupid, though, when somebody reads it out.
Words are the
So it's like,
universal
I have-
divider, though. I feel like it's a blessing and a curse. Like being able to communicate, but not have words for certain things in different cultures, customs, or locations is something that people can't comprehend. You know, one culture could
Mhm.
have a word for something that's associated with love that we've never identified or ever had the need to put a word on it. So when they're discussing it with you, we're only going to take the closest word we think to it. So we're going to, oh, he's saying love,
Absolutely.
love, love, love. And no, he's actually talking about familial bonds over generations, you know, with his ancestors and something else. But what happens? You just fucking dismiss somebody because they didn't have the same understanding rather than, you know, being culturally empathetic and really studying what it is that they have to say.
I love that so much, mostly because we were talking before about how Gary's from Italy, and my family is incredibly varied. I was born in New Zealand, first generation. My mother's from Erie, Pennsylvania. My father was from Fiji.
What? Hold on. That took
Oh,
a
no, no,
fast
hold on,
left
hold on.
turn.
So
I've
my
spent some
father was
time
from
there.
Fiji. And my mother from Pennsylvania or in Fiji?
I'm from Cleveland, so I've spent some time
okay.
In
near
both,
Erie,
actually.
Pennsylvania.
You've been to
Okay,
Fiji
so
too,
it gets
right?
more complicated though.
Bali,
Oh,
not
Bali.
Fiji.
Okay. It's similar, I guess. But my grandfather was from Iran and my grandmother's from Norway. And on your point, Jay, about language, in Farsi, they don't say I love you. They say Gorbunat Berem, which means I will die for you.
That's stronger.
That is, yeah. It's I don't know.
I don't
You're
know
right.
many
It's-
people in
it's
my life
amazing.
that have said the L word to me that were willing to do that as well.
Well,
I think that list is very short.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, you know.
I don't think it's my
good.
fault.
It's good. No, I think you know.
It's in the eyes of the person that's making the decision. You want to save me? Save me. You don't? You don't. Whatever. It was supposed to happen either way.
Cue Bruno Mars.
So, where did you grow up at?
I grew up between New Zealand and Fiji predominantly.
Oh,
Spent a little bit of time in America when I was a child, but most of my, like every summer, I would go visit my father and his, my 5 brothers and sisters and his side of the family. But most of my life was spent in New Zealand.
yeah. New Zealand or Erie, PA. You won that one.
Yeah, that's like
Say it.
Paradise
The majestic,
or
yeah,
Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
That's a song.
yeah. The majestic
Paradise in
shores of Lake
Pennsylvania.
Erie. Lake Erie is.
It's pretty gorgeous. I'm
It's
not gonna
not.
lie. It's not. I don't know.
I grew up right on Lake Erie my whole life. You're not allowed in the water; it will kill you. The river catches on fire that feeds into it.
Oh.
It is real bad.
You just killed all of my dreams, Gary.
It looks good from afar.
You just
It looks good
turned
from
your
afar.
childhood memories into a dumpster fire.
No, it's like
Literally.
yeah. It's. I mean, if the water catches on fire, there's a problem.
This is true.
100%.
This is true.
That's
I
how
don't
that's
even
how the
like my
world has all
shots
their
on fire.
stuff. Oh no.
No.
New Zealand looks a lot
No.
like Cleveland.
No.
But we do put our shots on fire, just so you know,
So
in New Zealand.
I bet you guys do. Now, I'm a little bit curious because I don't know much about New Zealand. Obviously,
Mhm.
of course, Lord of the Rings is on lock. I got that. I just know it's green, mountainous, and has lots of landscape and
They
dwarves
could
and
fight.
creatures and no.
We actually don't have that many creatures at all. We
I'm very
we have
disappointed.
birds. We have birds and fish. Every other animal that we have, when we have like reptiles, we have a tuatara, which we have one, and the kiwi bird. But everything else was brought over by the Europeans when they
I believe it.
immigrated. Yeah.
So it's not like Australia where everything wants to kill you. It's completely different.
Jiminy Crickets, man, that place.
It has crazy shit in Australia, man. I saw the spider. I was it was bigger than a basketball. Like
No.
ridiculous. I was looking up something for somebody the other day, and it was like Australia. Actually, I was looking up all the things that could kill people in Florida because Pearl moved there, my friend, and there's a huge snake in her garage, and there's like a bobcat or some shit in her backyard, and I'm like, what the hell's going on?
Florida?
I looked, and they're like, oh, Australia and Florida, the two places that have like the most deadly things.
It's funny you say that. We had
Australia.
yeah.
Sorry, Australia would be the Florida of the South Pacific. Carry on, please.
Yeah, no,
Yes,
you are. It would be Florida is Australia. Australia equals Florida in so many different ways. We had a gentleman on, Jeffrey Heim from Shark Co. He got bit in the head by an alligator while
Happens.
shark tooth hunting. He's a conservationist. He does megalodon teeth, stuff like that. And he was on a search. They search in rivers because they feed into there. These old teeth are in the silt and the floor and, that kind of area. And he was in there and a GoPro going and thump, he got his head chomped. And the weirdest thing, not the weirdest thing about all of it, he survived, obviously. He's doing well. He survived, got through the PTSD, yada, yada, yada. But I'll tell you, the video online of it happening is littered with people from Australia telling him he was lucky it was not a crocodile. Just annihilating this dude as if he had an easy journey getting his head bit by a gator. They're like, no, mate.
Well, isn't it it was in Australia or no?
No, it was
wasn't.
here. It was in
Okay,
Florida.
yeah. No.
Some of a crocodile. Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's funny. That's
Yeah.
wild. That's
So
wild.
it actually does give me another segue into something here. You mentioned something earlier with bullies, right?
Yes.
And having 10 surgeries before the age of 12 for hydrocephalus, or 10?
Let me clarify that. 24 surgeries,
Ew.
10 just happened to be brain surgeries.
Oh my Lord. So I can only imagine what it's like, because I was bullied as a child and I had a condition that was, something that somebody would focus on and ridicule me for. But it was not 10 brain surgeries deep with scars to the head. That's very traumatic for a child to navigate. And obviously you used music to help you bridge that gap. if you could talk to a child in a position where they felt like they had a flaw, because I say felt like they had, because it's not a flaw. It's what they believe, what other people tell to them. You're fine the way you are. You're beautiful the way you are. That said, if you're talking to that child, what would you say to them and how would you help them get through that moment?
So it's just quietly. I love the fact that you, Jay, are in the music industry and you, Gary, are in the have a UFC background. Because my fiance is a Krav Maga instructor. And so
Nice.
one of the things that I have learned and now as an adult is how there's so much intertwine between our emotional health and our physical health. And one of the, my answer, I guess, to you, Jay, would be kind of stealing from him a little bit, in that every trauma I've healed from is not a strike against me. It's a war wound. It's a survival scar. And that doesn't make me, a survivor. That makes me a freaking badass. And that's the same thing for every young person or adult, for real. Because let's be honest, a lot of adults don't or haven't yet learned what tools they have to, deal with their adulthood trauma.
They may never.
And I pray that you're wrong.
I absolutely. But some people
right.
remain blind during their tour on the rock. It isn't their time to figure out that, they're here for a reason and that all of their pain and suffering is generally a choice, except for in the moment. After that, it's a choice. And I love that.
It's not our fault what happens to us, but it is our responsibility to do something with it. And so that's kind of where a lot of the clients that I work with, the young clients that I work with, that's the kind of rhetoric that I let them know is like that they have the tools, they have the abilities to either fall into one, feeding one wolf or feeding the other, whether you want to feed the wolf of fear, anger, hurt, clapping back, whatever, sassiness, whatever the kids say these days, or if you want to feed the wolf of positivity and resilience and recognizing that bullshit happens, but we can turn that bullshit into fertilizer and use it to plant a garden. That's kind of how I see my trauma. Is yes, 10 brain surgery sucks. Yes, brain surgery, brain damage sucks. Yes, being in hospital and isolated from your friendship groups and at a very instrumental age.
Yeah,
it's a really, really fragile age. It's hard, but it also taught me a lot about valuing my own space and my own time, and learning more about who I want to be as opposed to falling victim to peer pressure as much as maybe my friends would. It's all about how you want to write the narrative for yourself, and songwriting happens to be a really great way to rewrite that.
I love that, because you're using a technique that has probably been used throughout all of time for getting rid of mental issues, and that is writing them out and putting them on paper so that you can process them properly. The fact that you're combining such a liberating piece, music, to that process, it can only amplify the capabilities of, how it can affect you over time. How could it not? We all know that music makes us dance. Music makes us laugh. Music makes us scream and yell. Music makes us cry. All these things without even having words to it. If you have the opportunity to put words to it, your words, what better way to find liberation?
It's the your words part, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. Guys, you relate to the get party when it came to music, but when you were a teenager, what music did you listen to when you were in a bad mood?
Who, me?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you said Gary. For me, I was an angsty kid, man. I was all about the Smiths. Love the
Okay.
Smiths. It was my thing to just sit there and be mad at the world. Um, it, I hated everybody. Everybody hated me.
Okay. Gary, what did you listen to when you were a teenager?
Uh, it was kind of mixed when I was like mad. I'd either listen to Motown or like some gangster shit, like depending on if I wanted to get more mad or if I wanted to be less
That's the
mad
thing.
in the moment. Like
That's fair.
I would listen to something that makes me a little happier if I was like over it, or if I was like want to kill somebody, then it would be something else, and then try to get it out that way. But kind of like either calm me down or just like rage out. But
Mhm.
Yep. For the
it's
record, Gary produces music as well. He's a producer.
Oh, I did not know this.
Yeah,
That's exciting.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Loves
I
music.
have
That's
to-
actually what we bonded over. More
Yeah.
so than the UFC and fighting. Not that I didn't love everything about it. I love the Ultimate Fighter, and we've discussed that on shows and different things like that. But after Gary was on the show a couple years ago, we started exchanging music. We were both
That's
on
awesome.
a path where he was rekindling his love for music and started producing things and wanting to, fulfill dreams that he had when he was a kid. And me, I was starting the journey, and we were just sharing music back and forth and back and forth. And that's where I learned from Gary that, everybody needs a hype man, right? Hype your friends. And that's the motto I got from him during that time frame. And that's how we became friends, was really exchanging a lot of music. And there's a lot to be revealed in that. Music is very deep.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's why I sort of asked you both what you turned to when you were a teenager. Because like I, grew up in the 90s and early 2000s. And so my go-to was either Enigma
Oh, yeah.
or Eminem or Linkin Park. And
Carly's
so three
song. Carly's song is one of my favorite songs ever.
It's yeah. And but it kind of got to the point where I realized, however, that every song that I was listening to of other artists was a small fraction of how I was actually feeling. And that's why I started like really digging into the whole songwriting thing, because I recognized that, yes, music is powerful and listening to music is powerful and beautiful and can do so much good for our self-expression and our feeling seen and connected. But when you're able to take life's proverbial pen and actually write your own story and your own truth, a couple of things happened for me at least. And that was, one, it was a more accurate reflection of how I was actually feeling and what I was going through. But also, surprisingly, the more I wrote and sang my truth, the more other people would come out of the woodwork and also connect with that.
They're
And so
keys.
then my that social thing, just my social health, really escalated as a result of that, especially out of that bullying. Um, the time in my life when I really did not have any friends whatsoever, music really helped me to sort of reestablish those connections.
I love that, because I believe that your authentic self is to create music and be the person that you are. And I think that the bigger picture here would show that the more that you became true to yourself and became more authentic, the friendships and the people that came into your life were much more in tune with who you are and much more accepting. And the lesson there is
That's right.
always be yourself and pursue your passions as hard as you possibly can without goals.
Mhm.
There should be no goals, but just to simply make what it is that you are beautiful at making. Do it in place, and the rest will come in time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I could not have said that better. Get out of your own way is what I tell people. Because you're right that we so often, I don't know, I think, what is it? Einstein said, intelligence is the creative adult who survived, or the creative child who survived. And I think a lot of that comes from being taught to not be authentic and not be, not show our true selves. And I just, that breaks my heart in so many ways.
It's beaten out of us, like almost literally. I mean, they can't hit you in school anymore like they used to, really. But not that long ago, they beat the shit out of you if you just didn't sit there, shut up, look forward, memorize the crap in the book and then regurgitate it on Friday and then forget it and go to the next chapter. I mean, I was in
Right.
the hallway, in the principal's office, anywhere they could put me because, like, the front of the room was still too much pain in the ass. Hallway still too much pain in the ass. They just keep moving me
Right.
further away from people,
Gary in
and
the corner of the football field, just standing there looking at his shoes.
yeah, I mean, I was, if my mom didn't work at the school, they would have kicked me out a lot earlier than they did, and it was just, I wasn't like maliciously bad as a kid. I just had energy and like, I didn't want to just sit there and look forward. I couldn't do it. And like
Mm,
other kids couldn't either. And it's like not harness that or like redirect it. It's just like, I went to Catholic school and it's just like, sit down, shut up. You say a word, you're in trouble. Like, like people don't process information the same, and it's sucked out of you, uniform
it
and,
really is.
language and speak this way and act this way and think this way. And everyone should feel this way about the religion and the subject matter and everything, believe the same thing,
Mm,
do the same thing.
mhm.
It fucking sucks, man. Like I was looking for any way to express myself. And that's probably where the music came in. And, my early teens when I started writing music is the same. It's just like, you know, like a way to, I don't know, it was anger, but it was also cool at the time. And growing up in,
Yeah.
in Cleveland when, Bone Thugs and Harmony, they're from where I'm from.
Ah,
And
of
we all
course.
started, we'd open up,
Amazing.
shows for them and stuff. And they would like idolize them kind of in a way. And, they were the only ones from Cleveland to ever make it that we knew of. There's, other groups and shit that, had, but not an inner city group, not a rap group, not people from where we're
Mm,
from. And those
mm,
guys, man, they're inspirational. They got on a Greyhound bus and said, we're not fucking coming back until we make it. And like,
right.
that's crazy. They came back with the same clothes on their backs and like, we got a record deal. We're going to be on MTV. And everyone's like, hey, okay, all right. And then like 3-4 weeks later or a month later, whatever, like everyone's like, they're shooting a video for Ruggish Bone and, down the way. And they're like, yeah, whatever. Like, oh, there's really fucking cameras down there. That's like a thing. And then, I don't even know, weeks or a month later, this shit's on MTV and,
Yeah.
these guys are still in the hood broke. And they're like, what doesn't make any sense. And then all of a sudden Crossroads comes out and they sold more records than Michael
Amazing.
Jackson and the Beatles and shit at that time. Like,
Oh, really? I didn't
yeah,
know
it was,
that.
I think that was the
Crossroads
number.
was. Oh,
It was
I
insanely.
want to say it was
East
the number
99
one
Eternal was insanely popular here, like unbelievably popular.
Yeah, I think
to be
that
fair, it
single,
was also very popular in New Zealand, but
but just last year.
Well, I mean, to pass the
No.
Beatles
Yeah.
records. Like, this was last year. Is that what you said?
They just got it.
Listen, we're not that far behind.
But I've
Okay?
lived around the world. That's slightly true, especially during the 90s and the 2000s.
Well, that's the thing that's crazy. I took my nephew to the record store. He's 13 maybe or 12 when I took, I think he's 12. And he called them music discs. He had no idea what they were. And I'm like, this is why it's called a record store. And he's carrying all the records, and I like to just pick 50-cent records or 20-cent, like just random shit and like see what I could find. I
Oh,
missed
I
the
thought you
whole
meant like
digging
extra
into
50 cents.
Oh no! Like the cost, the cost of the record. Yeah, it's true. I missed the whole DJing thing because I was always a rapper, but never made music. So I'm like, the digging in the crates thing is cool to me. It's new, so I do
That's
that.
awesome.
And he's just like trying to explain to him, like we used to have to like ride our bikes 20 miles through enemy territories to get to the one store that we wanted to buy tapes and stuff at. My grandpa had a 38 revolver with one bullet in it. I used to steal and put it in my Timberland boot. And that was like my oh shit gun since I was a kid. And we go there and, there's it was like a movie, an old Jewish guy that owned the place and he knew every sample. Like a Wu-Tang song come on and he would tell you what it was that was sampled and you just knew all of them, and he like started teaching us like a different way to think about music, but you'd have to like think about it. Like I'd be like, all right, I'm buying this tape. You buy that tape. You buy this one. We're gonna steal our mom's Barry Manilow tapes and put the little tape on the top and redub them and pass them out. Like it had to be like a whole thing to what we were going to get. Now it's like 10
No.
billion songs everywhere, but we had to like really think about what we're going to buy every week. And bought a tape that sucked. You were so pissed because like $12 and that's all you had. And you're like, oh man, this sucks. Like we're stuck with it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that completely. I used to busk every single weekend in my hometown. And that was how I made my money is I would, busk, street perform. I'd go to the
okay.
farmers markets and just like sang a cappella.
I thought you said bus, like
and
working at a restaurant, bussing tables.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
that's an American term. No,
I
I used
believe
to
it.
busk.
That's why I used to bus tables.
Same.
Oh, okay. Well, I was like 10, 11 years old and I would busk every weekend and all of that money would go on, buying cassette tapes back in the day when cassette tapes were still a thing.
It's funny because my affinity with music and singing is not close to the actual lyrics, which I was really happy when I started reading your book because I was like, this actually gives me a gateway to be able to put things on paper with some kind of framework or idea behind it, because it's difficult that first time to find who you are, your rhythm, your pattern, and how you're going to put something down. But my connection to music, I was not really able to buy CDs, tapes, none of that stuff was around because we were just too poor. I had cousins that would have like, an NWA tape or something like that, something horrifying.
Right.
But other than that, or my parents would have some tapes or whatever, but it wasn't anything I would ever grab. So music was always just music, no lyrics. Even the words were an instrument to me. If that makes sense, because you couldn't get the words right when you lived in the middle of nowhere in the 90s without being able to open up a CD cassette. We're all still singing songs about crystal meth from Semi-Charmed Life. It's all about getting high and we don't even know it. So I didn't have that connection except for with rap, because rap was very easy to follow and you could get, what it is that they were talking about. But
like
some
Bone
songs,
Thugs and Harmony.
No, not Bone Thugs and Harmony. He's like, he's just making shit up, which I love even more.
I remember asking those guys, like, what the fuck did you just say? And they would not even know the answers.
That's funny.
See, they're an instrument. It doesn't have to be words.
Yeah.
And it's funny you say, because like one of my all-time favorite bands is Pink Floyd. And they use instruments for the, that almost as if it's a voice as well. But of course, you can't say a lyric with a guitar. But it's
Peter Frampton would tell you you're a liar.
This is true. But he also had a mouth.
Oh, yeah, he did. He had like some weird recorder stuck in the end of it.
Yeah, that's all. There's instruments. Like, I met someone that plays the electric sax recently, which I didn't know was a thing. So then I started looking at all these other weird instruments. I never knew electric saxophone was a thing. I never knew that.
I just learned something new today.
Blow into it too.
Yeah, it's crazy. It looks like it's really sounds awesome.
Well, think about it. You have MIDI instruments that if you're controlling the pressure on a key or a pad, then why couldn't you with breath? And then if you set the keys up correctly, you could actually change the type of saxophone that's in your hand over and over again. Hell, you could be playing drums with your mouth at that point.
That's wild.
It's a really cool instrument. Like,
that's fun.
It got me to I went down the rabbit hole of like a bunch of weird instruments.
What's the weirdest one you found?
Let's go.
I don't remember what it's called. There's like this flute that they play in Russia, but it's got like, it looks like almost like a clarinet mixed with a didgeridoo or something. It's like a bassoon or some shit. I don't remember what it's called. Those sound really weird.
Well, the bassoon's been around for a while, but I get what you're talking about. Like really long, tall, cylindrical type of instrument. Looks like a didgeridoo, but it's got a reed that's coming out of the side of it with a very thin. Yeah, that's kind of like a bassoon. I get it.
Maybe it is a bassoon. Yeah, it sounded like really bad.
The oboe.
And then I found
bassoon.
one that sounded good. Yeah, it's like an oboe. It sounded, a few things sounded terrible. And then found some Italian guy and I was trying to sample some music from him yesterday. Francisco Migloni or something.
You're asking?
Like
I know that guy. We go way back.
I was asking myself.
If I tried, I would have sounded like I was racist against Italians.
No, I mean, we already started off with this Mario Brothers crap
That's
when we
probably how we're going to end it, right? we're gonna do some hate for Gary and
Yeah, it's like I'm not a plumber.
Hold on. Here we go. I'll give you the American Sign Language applause there,
oh
Gary.
yeah,
Oh,
To,
those
That's like
people are
snaps.
amazing. I did snaps were great, but you having worked in the music industry for a long time, having toured, I did see that you were in New York and some other clubs. And did you ever get the opportunity to have a sign language person on the stage singing along with you? Because I find that just like, I don't think I could be able to sing because I would want to know what they were saying that I was saying. Because some of them get into it, man. There's videos, especially the
I've
rap
seen like
ones.
them at Wu-Tang concerts and stuff where they're like wilding out.
So yeah, you're right. I've toured the States twice now. My longest time on the road was 35 days straight. That was crazy. Because I was with my two bandmates at the time, and you don't know somebody until you've been stuck in a car with them for 35 days. It was fun. Yeah, amongst other things.
Yeah,
it was fun.
Trips are not favorable.
You love them or hate them after that. It solidifies your relationship or destroys it, I think.
100%.
Yeah, no, I mean we're still on good terms, and we still play together regularly. But that was kind of that was the most kind of crazy tour that I've been on, and but I didn't have anybody that was deaf there. However, when my single Songbird came out last year, there is a guy on TikTok and Instagram his name is Deaf Boy Cotton, and he takes music and sign languages every single lyric to the song.
Oh, that's really cool.
So he completely did a minute and a half video of Songbird, and I don't know how he found me or my song, but there he is,
because he was supposed to
online. There we go. And it was beautiful. I love if I could take the time out of my schedule to learn sign language, I think it's such a beautiful way to connect with people. But unfortunately, I maybe my music's just not bassy enough to attract many.
Oh, is it bass that attracts? Obviously, the resonance in it or something like that would probably make them feel that.
You got to feel it. Like, you got to feel the vibration, I guess, right?
Yeah, and most of my music performances are like acoustic guitar and vocals, and then when we have the full band together, we have the tracks behind us, the drums, the bass, and things. But I don't have much of a deaf audience, unfortunately.
But I think it's super cool though that there's the ability to translate a whole different way. And to be honest, we don't have an effing clue what a deaf person actually feels exactly.
Of course.
If they feel the exact same way through a sign as we do through a word. If they're even connecting the same, dots. It's kind of like speaking Farsi and English. May not, even though it's got that. But I will say this, it disappointed me when I found out that sign language is in different languages. I was like, I feel like we missed the boat.
Really?
I feel like we missed the boat not having just one for all of them. I might be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm going to be pissed because I just offended the whole deaf community. But how do we not just be like, how is it, eating, just eating? Not eating in Spanish? Like, is it like this or,
Because it would be too hard to teach that because you'd have to have someone in every, wherever you lived at to teach you that sign language. They'd have to speak this universal language.
But it's just one table at that point.
Yeah, but you'd have to know this
if
means
I was looking
eat
at the periodic
or whatever.
Table of hands,
Right. Yeah, but you'd have to know what eat means, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying, though. But eat would be eat. It would be, the sign TE, or something like that. I don't know. It just seemed like they missed the boat on that one. Somebody needs to kind of bring that together. I feel like it's a way
they'd
to
actually have a
communicate.
big advantage. They'd have an advantage over everybody if they could speak with...
They could everybody speak with, in the world?
They get baseball signals.
Yeah, but they'd be able to go anywhere in the world and speak to deaf people there in whatever language they just, we can't speak to people. Farsi
I think-
and all these other
I think
things.
thank you is universal. But like I know in New Zealand Sign Language, it's I want pudding is yeah, but I
Wow.
that's the only New Zealand Sign Language thing. Yeah, thank you. And
I know,
then
like,
I
what is it?
want
Good
pudding.
morning, or then like, is that thank you or is it you're welcome? Something
No,
like that.
that's some shit that
That's-
gets you punched in the mouth.
Oh, that's no.
That's-
Again, why are we back to Italy?
Yeah, that's
Again, so for the
Yeah.
record, my wife is Italian. Her mother is from Spino, Italy. She was an immigrant.
Oh, cool.
So,
yeah. So
not
go over
that-
there and do whatever you were
Yeah,
just
she
doing
would-
next time
she
you
would
visit.
laugh at me because I don't know what it means, and she would just fall on the floor and be like, "You're
It
insane."
means defend
That's-
yourself after doing it.
Oh, really?
That's what it means.
Yeah.
Is that what it means?
Shit-
Defend yourself.
I mean,
oh man, I'm going to do it for sure.
No,
now.
I mean, no, it means
I'm gonna get a spatula.
like you just offended somebody, so you should defend yourself because they're probably gonna punch you. That's what I mean.
Oh, I
Like,
thought you said that it meant like on guard.
yeah, I mean, it kind of
That's
does.
funny.
I
No,
mean,
if
you
you
can
do
tell
that
kind
to
of the
somebody,
motion.
you need to
Yeah.
be on guard. I see you.
Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah. You
Same
can
thing
kind
as
of
like
tell.
doing
It's
this
like,
in the Middle East.
Was that?
That's
This in
bad.
the Middle East is the same thing as giving the middle finger.
Oh, is it really? I heard Australia's
Mhm.
this. Didn't they have like
That's
that
peace.
huge thing? Bill
Australia
Clinton.
is this.
Yeah, like when
oh,
Bill
this because they
Clinton was
hate
doing
peace
it.
there. Oh,
This is fine. This means I'm yours.
oh, nice.
I
with
see.
two,
I don't
two.
like that. That's too close. I
And I
feel
give
like
the
in a
thumbs up
shadow
instead
puppet
of-
would screw you.
Yeah, it would.
Well,
I like.
then
I like
don't
the
play with
thumbs
shadow
up.
puppets
Like,
in Australia.
yeah,
That's our
Yeah, it's like-
PSA.
you got to do the bunny this way, not
You're
this way.
welcome.
Yeah, never show the tail of your bunny.
No backwards bunny.
No backwards bunnies.
Good lord.
No. I like the thumbs
That's really
up
bad
though.
Bunny's next single. The
Yeah.
the
I
thumbs up is
started
the
doing
same
that in
thing.
traffic
'Cause-
now.
Yeah,
I
that's
turn-
what I do too. It's like pisses people off more. I'm like, yeah, good one.
I do
They're
a
like,
boo. What I do is if they're
Yeah.
doing something stupid, instead of like flipping them off or whatever, I go like this and I go boo.
Oh,
Nobody
that's
wants
funny.
a thumbs down.
Yeah.
I think I heard a comedian say it once, and I was like, "Oh, that's mine." From now on, and people will look at you like they don't know how to respond to that when they pull up next to you. And you go, "Boo!"
Yeah. Especially because you drive that little girl car and they're shocked that
Oh,
you're
here
in
we
it
go. I have a
anyway.
Mini Cooper. I love my Mini
Yeah.
Cooper. It's
First they're
Sir
like, wow, that's a
Reginald
grown
Cooper.
man in that car. Yeah,
Oh, they
it's like,
don't know
it's
what
a
to
grown
do.
man in that car. You must well have a Miata. And then,
I was about to get in my feelings when you said little girl car, but I kind of agree with you now, Gary.
yeah.
That's the Italian job. Come on, I call him Sir
Yeah.
Reginald Cooper, Reggie for short.
Yeah.
I want to get him a monocle.
You should.
I studied to be a mechanic for 3.5 years back in high school. I took a university, college paper to become a mechanic, and I was all about the American muscle cars. I'm like a Pontiac, a Charger, a Challenger. Those are my kind of cars.
Love those cars too. I just happen to like the Mini Cooper from the Italian job.
You do you, boo. You do you. Impressed.
I'll send you a link to our drag racing
Yep.
whole deal that we got going on.
Big
Okay,
rim
love
racer.
it.
Old
talked
school
about it on the show.
American cars. Old school American.
Yeah, I don't just play
Love
with
it.
Mini Coopers.
Yeah. they got
Hey, judgment free zone.
they
It's
got some
okay.
cool cars. Well, Australia's got some cool cars like that they don't have over here.
Really?
Yeah,
What kind of
New
car is
Zealand's
in
got a
Australia? Does
couple as
Australia
well.
make its own car?
I mean, they're probably
they've got
cheap.
Holdens.
The whole, the
It's
Holden.
a Holden. We have that in New Zealand as well. It's kind of like a GMC. We have a lot of pickups, although we call them Utes
Yeah.
in
And they're like
Australia and New Zealand.
new versions of the El Camino, but like they're like cars
Sure.
with a truck bed, basically.
Mhm.
Utes are.
That tends to happen a lot in the islands or outer lying areas that they get a lot of those kit vehicles, small trucks, things that can be shipped in cargo. It's what I've come to understand. I could be speaking out of my,
Well, it makes
Ass.
sense.
but in my traveling, that's what I've noticed.
Well, we don't have any car factories in New Zealand because we're an island, and so that would be an accurate assumption. So
Oh, there you go. Well, that's
Yeah.
one to grow on. No car
Yeah.
factories
Yeah.
in New Zealand.
The
Learn
Holden
something new every
day.
Commodore
Mhm.
is like the same as the Chevy SS. And those are sweet rides.
There was a Toyota Cavalier when I lived in Tokyo. I was like, that's a Cavalier. I was like, that's a Chevy. What? Why is that? And then I found out that there are cars that cross over that they use in other countries that, like the Isuzu Pup was the Dodge, whatever it was, like Ram or whatever it was for like in the 80s. So many vehicles were back and forth. We don't know what's over in another country that's being paraded around as something else.
And by the way, it's Hyundai, not Hyundai.
Hyundai.
Just so you know.
Makes sense.
We just say Hyundai.
But you get in trouble in America if you pronounce things correctly. Because then you're like, oh, look at him. He's trying to say it all fancy.
Yeah, that's true. We're like, this is America. We don't say that.
We don't use the accents.
That's not a valet. That's a valet.
And this is why wow.
It's so true. I live in Florida. This is like, if you go to a Hispanic place to eat or your Mexican restaurant and you say like something in, Spanish, or you give it the accent, the whole place will look at you. You'll be a meme. You'll be all sorts of things. They'll like, look at Karen trying to order her queso in Spanish, blah, blah, blah. It's so bad.
Wow.
At the Mexican buffet.
And this is, yeah.
What'd you say?
At the Mexican buffet.
I know somebody
And
that
this
says
is why
that
I'm
buffet.
Emma G. Oh my God.
I know somebody that says
This
buffet and
is why my
macaron.
name.
Oh, man, macarons. I like the buffet. I like the
almost
hometown
pissed my
buffet.
pants at that one.
Yeah,
was
man, I like to go to the
macaron
Cracker Barrel
sounds
buffet.
like the transformer of macaroons. I am macaron.
Yeah, it's like half Jeep, half macaroni.
It's a French cookie.
Legitimately why I call myself Emma G and not my actual name, because of what you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
I've told my wife if we have a kid, we have to run. She's seen me do this before for friends. I run it through the playground test. If I can break it down in the playground and hurt your soul, it's not going to be a child's name.
Yeah.
You just can't. You don't name your kid Richard. Just throw that one away. If their last name is like Small or something, you don't add like something in front of that, or Big or whatever it is.
Yeah,
you have to be very careful.
I work with a guy named Richard Seaman, and he's a good dude. But they did him wrong. They didn't. He's a good guy. He's a lighting guy, but that's not. They should not have. They should not have done that to him.
Well,
No,
I mean,
He's a good.
No.
do you just lean into it at that point?
Oh yeah, everyone calls him Dick Seaman
Like,
at work.
name him Like, I don't know. What do you do in this scenario?
He owns it. He's probably he's my age or so. You like got to deal with it now. Like it's man, like that's not great.
We really fell off the rails here at the end of this episode, didn't we?
Yeah, we started way off, and then we got back on, and then like it was good.
But this is what we do. Like, it's real conversations. It's having fun. It's getting people like yourself the opportunity to stand up here. And I know you said you weren't a lighthouse earlier. I call bullshit, right? Because the lighthouse does its job unsupported, and it does not ask for any kind of accolades. You're doing what you do, and you're leading people. You're passing out keys. It may not be theirs, but if you're passing out keys, you're going to get into somebody's hand that might unlock the first lock or the second lock or the 27th lock, whatever it is. But eventually they're going to come to find their way, and they're only going to find their way because someone like you is being authentic, in place, and showing other people the potential. So for that reason, I want to thank you. I want to give you a chance to talk about where people can find you, what your services are, because I know that you do offer the one-on-one counseling or the family counseling with their children, things like that. So go ahead and explain that. And again, I appreciate you.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate the just the seeing me, the aroha, as we say in New Zealand. So I want to sort of just preface a little bit. I'm not a counselor. I'm a coach. I do a lot of there's a lot of behavior, what's the word? A lot of cognitive behavioral therapy practices that I utilize in my coaching, but I'm not a certified counselor. However, I love what I do. I'm a musician first and foremost, singer-songwriter, using music to help my audience recognize how badass they are, and then translating that into songwriting coaching, where I use music and songwriting together to empower young people to step into their unique, powerful voices and recognize that their authenticity and vulnerability is where their strength lies. And then, of course, I am an author. I am a keynote speaker. My second TEDx presentation will be dropping shortly, which I'm very excited about. It's called Turning from Pain to Playlist, Turning
Please
Struggles
make
into
sure you
Song.
send that over to us so we can add it to our show notes, and and make sure it's there as long as the episode is out.
Yeah, that's awesome.
For sure. As long as the well, I don't know how long it's going to take them to edit, but yes, it will be coming out soon. I'm very excited about it. Very blessed. And my whole thing is just making sure that people recognize how powerful and badass you are. Whether that's through listening to my music and resonating with the messages that I talk about, or writing your own. But if you're interested in learning more about me, I'm emmagmusic.com or Emma G Music on most social media, except for TikTok and Facebook. I'm Emma G Speaks.
Absolutely love it. Gary, you have anything you want to wrap up with, ask in closing?
If you're on a deserted island for 1 year and you can only bring one album, what would it be?
One album.
I got mine.
I think it would be The Wall from Pink Floyd.
It's an excellent album. A lot of songs.
Yep.
Gary, yours?
And a lot of
Um,
depth.
I like the Miri Ben Ari hip hop violinist album because
Ooh.
Beautiful.
it has a lot of different artists that I like happen to be on that album. So it's kind of a cheat.
Mine is Licensed to Ill, Beastie Boys. 100%. If I'm going to be out on an
I was
island,
very
I'm going to be
sad.
banging my head into everything. I'm going to be whacking coconuts together to make music just like they would. So what better group to be sitting with?
Love it. I was very sad when one of the Beastie Boys died.
Oh,
But yeah, no, great group.
Very sad.
Fantastic.
Pioneers. And I love that they use everything to make music. They don't use just instruments. They'll grab anything on the planet and smack it together to make a sound. So it just goes to show that it doesn't matter what you're using. It's that you're using your authenticity. That's the only thing that matters. We gravitate to artists that are being themselves. Just like you,
Amen.
Emma G, I genuinely appreciate you. Gary, I appreciate you as well, brother. And remember, everybody, be cool and keep learning.